That's the first time I looked at it.
Am I supposed to be there? Angie, this is Richard. Am I supposed to be in the room?
Richard, it can be in person or virtual, whichever you prefer.
Oh, wow. I'd much rather be there. I'll be down there in just a minute.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye.
Folks, I'm sorry, I'm running just a few minutes late. It's a little confusing today. Alex is out sick. So we're having to wing part of this meeting. First of all, I want to call the meeting to order. Are there any steering committee members sitting in the audience? Okay, all the steering committee members are here or in either, who's on Zoom? Okay. Hey, John. Hey, Bill. Hey, y'all doing all right?
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, doing great.
Good. Before we start the meeting, and just wherever you are, just bow your head for a moment of silence and then we'll get started. Amen. Steering committee members, I need us to adopt the agenda, but I do want to flip-flop items C and D, where I introduce MS Consultants first, and then they will lead us or go through a discussion of the comprehensive plan and so forth as we're going forward. So do I have a motion from a member of the committee? To have a motion from Dr. Maurer. Do I have a second? Have a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The agenda is adopted. We got to administer the oath of office to all the new members. So Angela, I'm going to turn that over to you.
Do you, Mari Gramling, swear or affirm that you will well and truly execute the duties of the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee of the Town of Montreat according to the best of your knowledge and ability, so help you God? Do you, Maggie Elliott, swear or affirm that you will well and truly execute the duties of the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee of the Town of Montreat according to the best of your knowledge and ability, so help you God? Do you, Daniel Hewitt, swear or affirm that you will well and truly execute the duties of the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee of the Town of Montreat according to the best of your knowledge and ability, so help you God? I do. Do you, Tim Helms, swear or affirm that you will well and truly execute the duties of the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee of the Town of Montreat according to the best of your knowledge and ability, so help you God? Do you, Paul Maurer, swear or affirm that you will well and truly execute the duties of the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee of the Town of Montreat according to the best of your knowledge and ability, so help you God? Congratulations. Do you, Richard DeBose, swear or affirm that you will well and truly execute the duties of the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee of the Town of Montreat according to the best of your knowledge and ability, so help you God? Thank you. Mr. Casper, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Do you, John Casper, swear or affirm that you will well and truly execute the duties of the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee of the Town of Montreat according to the best of your knowledge and ability, so help you God?
I will.
Congratulations, sir. Mr. Seaman, can you hear me?
Yes,
Do you, Bill Seaman, swear or affirm that you will well and truly execute the duties of the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee of the Town of Montreat according to the best of your knowledge and ability, so help you God?
yes, I do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, members of the committee, for taking the oath of office, duly elected now and duly sworn. What we have to do now is elect a vice chair and a secretary of this committee. I don't know why y'all don't want to elect me. So I volunteered to do this. Nobody else would. So I'm by default, I'm the chair evidently. So we need to elect a vice chair. Are there any nominations from the floor? You want me to, this has got to be like pulling teeth. Does anybody want, I'm going to be here and I'm going to do the bulk of the work, but in case I get sick or something, I just need somebody to sit in and conduct the meetings. Maggie, will you do it? What? You're going to vice chair, you're going to be secretary. I have two nominations by themselves. And that's all I want to get, it looks like. So all those in favor of the nomination signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Ayes carry. Thank you. I flip-flop items D and C on the agenda. And at this time, I want to introduce Drew. What's your last name? I'm sorry. Drew Draper. That almost sounds like a newspaper reporter for Superman or something. But anyway, Drew is with MS Consultants, and I'm going to turn it over to him right now for a little bit of a comprehensive plan discussion. Drew?
Sure. Well, thank you, everybody. My name is Drew Draper with MS Consultants. Oh, sorry. Can I take this? Mind if I pop this? Okay, that might be a little bit clearer for everybody. It's been a long time since I was in my band, so I have to learn how to reuse this. Project manager with MS Consultants. For those that are not familiar with our company, we're really kind of a full service A&E firm with strong planning and engineering services. Headquartered out of Raleigh, North Carolina, but with offices kind of throughout the eastern U.S. I am joined by two very talented staff members, and I'll soon have them provide their introductions. But I really wanted to kind of start this off this morning with really just kind of thanking the town and those on the selection committee for this opportunity. It's a very exciting opportunity, but not only for us, but really for the community as a whole and stakeholders that are going to be involved with this process. It really gives that opportunity for everyone to really kind of come together, a good forum to collaborate on and establish a framework or really a blueprint, so to speak, moving forward that you can be proud of and really implement and execute over time. So it's really exciting for all of us. We were a little bit unsure today with kind of how the format of this was going to play out, as we were this is our kickoff meeting. Unfortunately, Alex is not able to join us today, but we did have some materials that we wanted to hand out and kind of step through. And, our thought is kind of combining, it looks like, really our introduction, but really kind of the heart of what we're trying to get at here today is kind of, diving a little bit into not only the 2008 plan, but using this as an opportunity for us moving forward to really jumpstart and kickstart this process. So we wanted to provide a little bit of structure with today's meeting, if that's all right, and have some additional handouts. And looking at this to be really really a collaborative opportunity for us engaging, and delighted to have other folks in the community here, because that's really what this is all about, is active engagement, because no one wants to develop a plan in a vacuum. So with that, I was going to say introductions, but we just went through kind of an introduction of really the steering committee. So with that, I'd like to introduce our staff, and they'll kind of walk everyone through the process and and this agenda today. And certainly if we start kind of pushing on some time, let us know. One of the other elements we wanted to cover today, but with Alex out, is we wanted to do what we're calling like a windshield tour. So it'd be delighted if maybe somebody could raise their hand as well and join us for that. And love to after this meeting just drive around the community, share a little bit more about the history, some of which we know, some of which we don't know yet. So we'd love it if maybe somebody could raise their hand at some point and be maybe a tour guide.
Drew Scott and I, our planning and zoning director, and I plan to take y'all on that tour.
Perfect. So with that, I'd like to introduce Shannon, and she can share a little bit about herself, and we'll just hopefully have a productive maybe 20-30 minutes, if that works for everybody this morning. Great. Thank you.
Really short, sorry. Hello, everyone. I'm Shannon Fergus. I'm the Director of Urban Planning at MS Consultants. I'm really excited to be here today. Katie and I are going to kind of lead you through a couple exercises that are in this packet. Katie, do you want to introduce yourself before I do that?
Hi, everybody. I'm really tall, so my name's Katie Sieb. I'm a planner with Shannon at MS Consultants. Excited to be here to work with you all. Yeah, all I really need to say. So, yeah, of course. Yeah, and I have some extras if you'd like me to pass them out to attendees as well. Okay, great.
Okay, so in this packet are a few different things that we just kind of wanted to go over. No decisions, anything like that. These were just kind of our thoughts on paper and a little explanation of how we approach the planning process. So on page 2 of the, I think they can maybe see me, I'm not sure, of the agenda, I just wanted to talk a little bit about our process, both how it's laid out kind of in the scope in 5 phases and kind of what that means. So for us, it's important, we kind of think of our planning process as inputs and outputs. So our inputs are community engagement. Again, like Drew said, it's amazing to see people in the audience already. Some technical analysis and expert review. So it's kind of that existing conditions analysis, taking planning trends and things like that, trends in the community and the state, with the community engagement together and kind of putting together the values and visions and goals for the plan, which then will feed into very concrete strategies for the future, which you obviously already, you have that from the 2008 plan as well. So you're no stranger, you guys aren't, strangers to that. But then also adding in different funding and responsibilities to try to get a little bit of, what gets planned done. So really talking about feasible implementation and identifying funding for that implementation and timelines and things like that to help the community, implement, continue to implement the plan that you all are already implementing. So Our timeline process for this is a 5-phase process. So we've got preparation, which is kind of right now, that's where we do this kickoff meeting. We'll do one more steering committee meeting within preparation. That will be our first kind of full steering committee meeting where we'll do activities and things like that. Probably do a SWOT analysis during that steering committee for the community. Strategic analysis and public engagement kind of happen at the same time. So while we're collecting information and doing mapping and things like that, we're also engaging the public. Idea generation, yeah. Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Yes. So a SWOT analysis is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for the community. So it's a little bit kind of key challenges to the community, what you think your assets are, your positives are, what you think your negatives are, what might be stopping the community from achieving the goals that wants to achieve, what are assets that are helping you achieve the goals that you want to achieve as a community. So that's a SWOT analysis. We do that with the steering committee, and it's also a little bit baked into the public engagement as well, so that we're getting a little bit of that same information out of the public. And we're able to see, what the steering committee is saying, strengths and weaknesses are, what the public is saying, and kind of pull that all back together within the steering committee, to kind of finalize that. Idea generation is the 4th phase of our process. That's really where we're putting all the ideas onto paper, drafting the plan for you all to see, basically. And then finalization is when we get to the product that you all have on your table from the 2008 plan, final plan. So that is kind of the process that we're going to be going through, if that is okay with you all. And we did have a little bit of, do you want me to go ahead and go through branding and things like that? Or do you want to? Okay.
Yeah, if you have questions for us, we can answer them at any time or make space at the end too. Okay. So the branding concepts, these 3 logos or icons, are meant to get a reaction and hear your thoughts and ideas about what you think in terms of branding for the plan, how we would make the materials look in the document, but also on posters and flyers that we use within the community. So we put these together based on what we saw on your website and looking at the previous plan and your information where you said you wanted the title to be Montreat Tomorrow, and just kind of mocked up 3 examples. So we'd really love to hear your thoughts about what you think about these examples. If there's one you really like, if there's one you really don't, and why. I think that would be really helpful in just getting us started today. Okay. Yeah. So what we could also do is trade out the word master plan in 2 and 3 for tomorrow. We can mix and match. That's what I'm saying. Do you like the mountains or the bridge? Or the mountains on the bridge? Mountains. Okay. Any other thoughts and ideas? We really like number 1, we should just seal the deal, go with number 1.
Seal the deal.
Okay, all right. Well, that was really easy. Great, thanks guys. Good, okay, well, the more feedback, the better, I'd say. So if you have a dissenting opinion, please feel welcome to share it. That really helps us kind of understand and just get to know you all. So, all right, the last page before we jump into some discussion questions is a little more administrative. On the back of the packet is our draft schedule. You'll see that, oh geez, excuse me. So you'll see that the first 4 phases conclude this summer. And this may or may not go a little longer or stretch out more than you had intended. And, that's okay. This is just for discussion to kind of get us on the same page. But what we were hoping to do is do community engagement in the summer months, just to get the most people out and about, catch any out of towners, to just get a holistic view of what people think and what their experiences are like in Montreat. We find that really helpful. And so, to get that feedback and then use it to inform the recommendations and then take all of that into the draft plan kind of takes a little time after that engagement occurs. And so this is something we can continue discussing, look at, but you'll see that steering committee meeting number 1, which we didn't consider this our first meeting, we considered this kind of the preparation and kickoff, is set for March. Any thoughts about the schedule to share? Yeah, sure.
So, Scott Adams, zoning administrator, just one quick check-in on a legal question, which I will want to follow up with both the town administrator and ultimately the UNC School of Government. Per Chapter 160D, the state's new land use law, the current deadline to have a quote reasonably updated comprehensive plan in place in order to still have the legal authority for zoning is currently July 1st, 2022. Given the general flux of a lot of other things in society and whatnot, I would assume that would be perhaps flexible or changing, but that's very much front of mind for me, and I will certainly actively be glad to follow up and work both with the consultants and also check in with the School of Government, as they're probably the best source for guidance on that. Just wanted to not kind of crush any kind of process, but just quickly keep that date in mind, which is currently a law, and working through that. So just as a bit of perspective on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Keep us up to date on that process, please.
Yeah, great. Thank you. We will continue to talk about it and come up with a schedule and plan that works for everyone. And go from there. I guess that's something we can maybe talk about offline and work out in more detail, if that's okay. Okay, so now for what I consider to be the fun part are the discussion questions. So, oh, sure, please go ahead.
The idea of having a schedule for the year is really helpful, at least to me, I'm sure to others of us. Can we actually get dates on the calendar now for the entire year so we can hold them?
Sure.
That'd
Yeah.
be really helpful.
Especially for the meetings, that helps us as well, so that we're.
Yeah, that's
know
what I
we're
mean. I
planning
mean,
for.
for these meetings.
Yeah,
For the,
great.
for this committee, that'd be very helpful.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we want to schedule the next meeting and then we might need to wait until we meet offline just about the schedule because of the land use update issue? So if we could just maybe get the March meeting and then let you know about the rest of the dates later this week.
That's fine with me. The sooner we can get anything on the calendar, the better.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that works for us too. Okay, so looking at March. What's today? Today is a Wednesday afternoon. Is this a good time for everyone? Was this time picked for convenience that it might work again in March? Okay. Okay, so we're looking at Wednesday afternoons in March. Let me pull up my calendar. Yeah, so the week of the 7th or 11th won't work, but the 16th 23rd or 30th would be good for us.
16th is fine.
Okay. Anyone else? Does not work. Okay. Even at a different time on the 16th? Okay, no worries. What days work for you, Paul? Okay. Do Mondays work for the rest of the group in general?
Yes.
Okay. So how about the 14th or the 21st?
Okay for me.
14th looks great.
Give me a thumbs up
Oh, wait.
over Zoom. Okay, how about the 21st? Anyone have conflicts? We got a thumbs up from Paul? Okay. Sounds good. We'll lock it in.
What time?
Same time as this? You want to do 10 a.m.?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay,
How about
Yes.
you virtual guys? You okay with that?
Yes.
we got thumbs ups from them
Yeah,
on Zoom.
yeah.
I can see them. I don't know if you can see them.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so we will be seeing you again, March 21st. Before that, we'll get dates coordinated for the remaining meetings. Yeah, I think that's very helpful. Okay. Any other questions on the branding or the schedule? No, okay. So it's really helpful for us in the remaining time we have. We don't need to take a lot of time today because we'll be back to do more detailed discussion. But it helps us greatly to just get a sense from you what you view as the key challenges heading into this process, what your initial kind of thoughts are about what you'd like from this master plan, and especially what engagement strategies you think have worked well that you would recommend us to do with the community to get public feedback too. So not to put anyone on the spot, but I think it's really helpful just to have everyone say a word or two if you're willing to do that. So in a word or two, if you can think of your favorite thing about living in Montreat and what you view as the key challenge for this master plan. So your favorite couple of things or thing and what you view as the key challenge. And it looks like Paul is ready to go. So we'll start with you.
So one of the things I love most about Montreat is the natural beauty. And I think one of the great challenges of this process is to have a progressive outlook on growth in this community. And I think that's going to be a real challenge. There are entities that believe that there's no downtown here, but there are two major business entities here, the conference center and the college. And both are trying to grow. And I think that's going to be a significant challenge in this process.
Okay. Okay, great. Go right ahead. Everyone can hear you.
From the resident perspective. And to me, the number of people, things, cars going in the gate and coming out, traffic of all sorts.
Okay.
And to maintain the natural beauty that's here and preserve it for our children and grandchildren.
Wonderful.
Well, of course, I'm in agreement with what everybody else said, but in addition, the peace of Montreat is very important, and that means the quiet, the serenity, along with the beauty. And I think preserving the history of Montreat is as important as the environment of Montreat. And I'd like to see us incorporate all of that and find a way to go forward, knowing that those things are all equally important.
Mhm.
And just to put it out there, I'm not that crazy about the name that we just chose, I have no problems with it. I'm perfectly okay with it. But I think it kind of limits us. And I would rather see something that that respects the past and the present and the future. I'm perfectly okay with leaving it as it is. I just want to say that.
Mhm. Yeah, talking about tomorrow doesn't discount the value of what's been done in the past and the beauty around us today. Totally understand that. Okay. If you want to suggest alternative words, or if you'd like us to think of some things, we can revisit that discussion too. Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Seaman here. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, like other people, a favorite thing is the landscape, the serenity, the beauty of place, and I think the concern of so many citizens. A couple of challenges, I guess. One continues to be communication. Citizens, non-residents knowing about community activities, being engaged. And I think part of my vision for the plan would be growing our sense of community. It's amazing to me when I go to the post office, the number of people I do not know. And I know that's part of my problem for not being the most sociable person. But at the same time, there are an awful lot of folks who are, I think, content to be unto themselves, and I think could be more engaged with our community.
Great. Thanks, Bill. Any other thoughts? Go right ahead.
When I first started coming to Montreat, I heard the word Montreat is a place set apart. And it really spoke to my heart with the aspect of that it was a place of recreation, renewal, and it's set on it. I want to keep it that way. I agree with the comment about I go to the post office and I used to know a lot of people here, and I'm glad they're here, but I don't know them, and I would like to.
I'm with everybody else on the peace and the serenity and the beauty and the canopy of trees that we have and the streams that we have and so forth. And that means a lot, I think, to all of us who live in Montreat. The real challenge in the future, as I see it, is producing a revenue enough to keep this town going, period. The burden's on the homeowners. And we've got to do something to create additional revenues.
Great. We heard from.
I don't have anything to add to the answers you've gotten to your first question. To the second question, I think it's a related comment to Tim's comment. And that is, as Montreat does change, as people do come and live here who haven't lived here before, as people do come here who haven't come here before, is communicating, as Bill said earlier, and instilling in the folks here an understanding not only of the fact that we are really a unique community in the way that we have evolved and the way that we're set up. You probably wouldn't, if you were starting from scratch today, set it up the way that we are, but it is the way that we are. And we are, in my view, an interconnected and interdependent community, a community whose institutions are dependent upon the support of the town and the townspeople. Townspeople, to some degree, depend upon the activities and programs provided by the institutions. It all rolls up and it all works, but it's fragile. And a plan that reflects that reality, that can be communicated to everyone who's a stakeholder in Montreat, I think would be a huge, huge asset for this community. And so, which leads to the last challenge, which is getting all that done by June 30th, I think is a tall order.
Great. I think the only member who hasn't chimed in is John. Would you like to, John? If you'd like to unmute. He's shaking his head maybe. Okay. All right. With your permission, would you like to invite anyone else in the audience to chime in and share what they think about the answer to the question? Okay,
Yeah, I couldn't
great.
get my, can you hear me now?
Oh, great. Yes, we can, John.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I was really interested to hear everyone else because it echoes the reasons I love Montreat. I think indirectly, I mean, the natural beauty and the history and the serenity here, I'm all for those. And indirectly, I think was mentioned the people, which is one of the reasons I love Montreat. I don't know them all, I haven't met them all, but it's a place that where, I don't know, the people are special, they're unique. There's a lot of history within the families that have grown up here and coming here, and even some of the newer families that have moved here that see what we have and want to be a part of it. So I'm all for some way to encourage the sense of community and the interconnectedness that we have to some degree. And like Bill says, we'd like to increase that. And how do we do that? That sense of community. I think that's important to me. Thank you.
Thank you. I love hearing everyone's responses and opinions. It really is so helpful and makes me really excited to get to know all of you and work with you on the project. This is by far my favorite part of the job, is getting to work with people who love where they live and want to see it grow and help support, you know, the various needs and interests and protect what makes it special. So I hear you loud and clear, and I'm really looking forward to coming back with more, you know, activities and information to help draw that out more as we prepare the plans concepts. With that, I think the only other thing on the agenda for us is that 2008 plan accomplishment review. So Angie had sent out that sheet, and I just wanted to make sure that, you know, we communicated that we saw it and we're looking at it as we take a look at the 2008 plan. Alex, and I'm guessing Sean too, will take a look at the plan in more detail too and kind of get the staff's opinion and review of what has worked for them in implementing the plan and what hasn't. But I just wanted to open it up for comments. Anyone's reactions as you looked at that sheet, any thoughts that you'd like to share with us today are welcome.
Katie, this is the first time that most of these people have seen the comprehensive plan
Okay,
in its entirety.
great.
And this is the first time that these folks, to my knowledge, have laid eyes on this.
Okay.
So it really wouldn't be much of a discussion.
Well,
I'm
some homework
afraid,
then.
unless somebody has delved into it while we were talking and is ready to talk about it.
That's totally fine.
What I wanted to say about the 2008 comprehensive plan is that it was very well done. A lot of community participation, a lot of great ideas, a lot of looking forward into the, you know, into what Montreat needs to do in the future. And I just want to apologize for the last 2 or 3 years and that we've not been able to do much of anything with the comprehensive plan simply because of COVID and other problems that have popped up that we've had to deal with and divert our energies elsewhere. So this very timely that we get back into comprehensive plan and move forward for this community and use the 2008 comprehensive plan as a springboard for the new comprehensive plan and where we're going in the future. And I'm very grateful to all those people who have worked on this. And if you've never sat down and read it from cover to cover and looked at it in detail, it is comprehensive. It's mind-boggling. And it can be overwhelming too, because there's a lot in there to do. And hopefully we'll include a lot of these things in the new comprehensive plan. That's all I want to say.
Great. Yeah, that's great. As you take time to reflect, you're welcome to let us know your thoughts and feedback, even if it's, you know, in advance of the next meeting. We're happy to hear your comments and, you know, take them into account. And we'll make this a topic for discussion in the March meeting. Okay. Is there anything else I missed?
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Oh, sure, of course.
Yeah. I just now, as we've been speaking, I've gone to the town website and I find a page for the comprehensive plan. And I guess part of our homework will be to look at that plan between now and March. But possibly for the March 21st meeting, could one of our town staff people, Scott perhaps, give us maybe a 15-minute walkthrough of what's in the existing comprehensive plan in terms of some of the key recommendations, some of the strategies, what things have been addressed, things that are remaining, to maybe help us springboard from that into the new version. Thanks.
Certainly we can, Bill, and we will plan on doing that, okay?
Tim, I had a question.
Go ahead, John.
So everything that was mentioned in our little discussion, had heard before, except your comment about revenue to keep the town going. I was a little surprised to hear about that. Can we hear more details either now or at the March meeting so we can be thinking about this? That's news to me.
John, the taxpayers, the homeowners, carry the financial burden in Montreat. COVID has cut down on sales tax revenues that we get from the state. COVID has cut down on the Powell bill funds money because that comes from gas sales. And we've had some terrible storms in the future that have cost the town a good bit of money, and we've been reimbursed 75% on that, on those storm damage repairs, some of which we hadn't completed yet. And it's crunch time. It has been crunch time for the last 2 or 3 years. And even before that, it's always a problem in Montreat as to where we're going to find enough money to take care of everything that we need to do: roads, sanitation, trees. There's just a plethora of things that we've got to have money to do in the future. And yeah, I can get you a recap from Darlene on the financial situation of the town. We're not in dire straits. Not in dire straits by any means, but it's to do one project anymore, we have to take money from another project because we don't have money enough to do for the emergency project. So it's robbing Peter to pay Paul right now. But we're going to get there. We're going to get there and we'll get everything balanced again like it's supposed to be. But it's just a struggle, and it always has been. And I don't know, I just don't want it to always will be. So we'll get you an answer on that. Okay, John?
Yeah, thank you. That helps.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. With that, oh, sure, please.
I just have one clarifying question, because my mind has kind of ping pong back and forth between not extremes, but and this is for anybody on your team or the mayor or anyone who's been involved in setting this process up. So initially, the description of the process that stuck in my brain that we're engaged in is an update of the 2008 comprehensive plan. What I'm hearing today is that when we are done, we will have a new 2022 or 2023 comprehensive plan. In other words, the extent to which there's one way to go at this work where we would look at what was done and not done, focus on that, the decisions that were made in 2008 and say, okay, to what degree does the community have an appetite for moving forward with some of these things that have not been completed? That would be just like an update of a plan that's already in place.
Mm-hmm.
The other end of the process and the other end of the ping pong table is, no, we're going to create a whole new comprehensive plan that is going to guide Montreat for the next 5 to 15 years until somebody comes along and thinks we need an update. So where on that spectrum do you all see the output of that work being? For me, I may be the only one who needs to answer that question, but it's not clear to me.
That's a great question. And, that's something we kind of, coordinated with Alex and others on after not only with our proposal that we would put forward, but kind of, scoping out what this looked like. And I think the answer is, a little bit of both. When we're looking forward, kind of Montreat tomorrow, In order to do that, we've still got to have a really good foundation of what changes or lack of changes have occurred since 2008 until until today. So that would require us, revisiting and revising and updating a lot of what's already in that plan. So what we foresee and as what we envision, at least at this point in time, and certainly some of this is subject to change, is we would look at this really being kind of a revamp of the 2008 plan, and creating a new plan, looking forward based upon, what has happened in the past. And to add on to the question about the 2008 plan, we are going to be performing between now and our March meeting what we're calling a redlining exercise. And we're going to be coordinating that with Alex. So I wanted to note that, and what that redlining exercise will ultimately be. It's just a little bit of back and forth of saying, hey, what did you really, really like about the 2008 plan? And we want to make sure we can carry that forward, or maybe even more importantly, what didn't you like? What from that plan did we could, look at doing some changes to that maybe wasn't as effective as, we thought it would have been, and we can learn from that and repackage all of this up. I mean, it is a great plan. I've looked over it. We've looked over it. So there's certainly a lot of elements that we want to preserve in that, but we need to do some updating to it. And, it's going to evolve as we do what we have outlined as a very robust, public involvement and outreach process. So to kind of reiterate, we're here as the consultant team, brought to you to provide, support, suggestions, guidance, what we've seen work elsewhere, what we haven't seen work, but ultimately this is your plan, preservation, heritage, serenity, touching all of these. Then what we can do is we can leverage policy, we can leverage ordinance, and that will allow you to put a little bit of teeth to the plan. So it's not just a plan that is shelved, it's something that can actually be implemented through policy. And we want to make sure that, we sharpen our pencils so we can scope that out for you within this plan. So then you can leverage it moving forward. So if that kind of, ultimately kind of, answers it. And I did want to kind of, wrap up. I know we've got some time commitments and be respectful of everyone's time, but
I just want to be clear on the short answer, though, is that you will basically have a new document that'll probably look different, that has goals for the next 10 to 20 years.
Okay.
Is the envisioning.
I could have just stated that. But, this is, we're, delighted to be here. Wanted to, thank you all for, your time again. We kind of came at you with a lot of materials, but, we really wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to get everyone together in a room, so we're not going in, cold into, really our first formal steering committee meeting, in March. This will give us a lot to think about, and bring back, to you at that meeting, in addition to, to the redlining. The schedule we'll be working internally through the schedule. But as I've seen with other communities, it's typically as long as you're involved in the process, and I won't speak to the specifics, and we'll work through that, but as long as you're involved in the process, and by that time, we're going to be having a lot of draft materials together, should be sufficient to meet, hopefully sufficient to meet those requirements, because, ultimately the engagement process, given this community, is going to be absolutely critical, and to try to, get everything completed within less than a 6-month time frame may not position you, looking forward, as well as you would want to, if we could, take the adequate amount of time to pull this plan together. So I'll leave it at that. If there are any other final questions, we can answer those. But again, thank you, everybody. It's an exciting opportunity for us.
Any questions of anybody from MS Consultants?
Maybe a
Seeing none,
quick
Bill, I
one.
think we've got it.
Will we,
I want to thank you and Katie and Shannon for your presentation and so forth. Yes, Josh. Oh, okay, Bill, I'm sorry. I didn't see
Yeah,
you.
will we have sort of a formal launch of this process in terms of a splash in our news communications that a planning process is underway?
Yeah, I see nodding heads from M&S Consultants. There will be a splash. Okay. Thank you, Bill. Anyone else? Any other questions? All right, the floor is open for public comment now. Anyone? Just be sure to get close to the microphone. Mary?
Thank y'all all for being here. And in the some 15 years or so that I've lived in Montreat, a lot has changed. And I would imagine that most of the people that were involved in the 2008 comprehensive plan are not part of this process, that it's fewer than more. And the two things that I would like to specifically address today is the difference in the community within the time we've been here. There are a lot of people who have different ties to Montreat. They have no ties to the college, the conference center, or either generational ties. They've moved here because of what we have to offer in terms of natural beauty and our quirkiness, which is a great way to put that. And we're an investment community now where people have vacation rentals by owner and they don't have long-term ties. And I think we really need to consider that. Who are we as a community? And one of the things that I heard and also saw on the timelines is in the community involvement, the first community workshop is not scheduled and there's until June. That's way too late. It takes me at least 2 or 3 times to sort of get my head wrapped around what's going on. I'd like to see us start having at least 2 or 3 workshops and starting as soon as March. And we really have summer people and we have winter people, long-term residents, much more than we used to have. So I'd like to see more in-person community involvement. I mean, it's a small group that's here today and hopefully COVID will allow that, but in a much bigger sense and really advertise that and give people time to think about it. So that's my first comment, more in-person community involvement. My second point that I'd like to make, I really do appreciate what Mayor Helms said today about the fiscal problems that the town of Montreat is having and will continue to have without increased revenue source. And that means, I come from a little southern town, if we don't grow, we die. There has to be change. Where that comes from, I'm not sure. We have 2 large nonprofits here. We have smaller nonprofits as well here, and all of them need to look within themselves to see how they can support the revenues that come to us. And I mean that in a real sense. We have to grow together to work. And I also appreciate the mayor pointing out why we have such a high tax rate that is borne by the residents here in Montreat. Our millage rate is 43, which is the highest tax rate by far in Buncombe County. For instance, Black Mountain has a tax rate of 30 versus our 43. That's because the burden is on the homeowners. And the mayor mentioned a number of the significant events that have occurred outside the town council's control. But another one that I would like to see added to that list is the number of lawsuits and settlements that we've had within the last 6 years, which have been significant and have contributed greatly to the small income that we have. And as that is reviewed by the steering committee, it would be nice to have that number, which is a number which runs probably into the hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last 6 years, somehow highlighted at a high level of what the town has been asked to put forth in terms of payment to attorneys, on both sides. So again, tax revenues, support, and community involvement, hands-on, starting sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Next, yes, ma'am.
My name is Liz Johnson, and I'm a 3rd-generation Montreat resident. Is that okay? Right. Anyway, I just am going to have an opportunity to serve on the Planning and Zoning Committee, and I'm excited about that. But I just want to thank you all, each one of you, for the time that you're going to put in for this, for the voice you're going to give to our community. I also just want to put a face. You know, we're behind masks so much. I am a face of a granddaughter that my granddaddy moved here in 1939. My parents came back to retire, and Montreat's been home base for me as a military child my entire life. And little did I know that in 2004, my husband and I and our 4 children would move back to this area from the Midwest. We are both working still, so we're not retired Montreaters, but we live in my grandparents' house at 164 Virginia Road. My grandparents were Thomas and Elizabeth Spence, and Spence Hall is where the Heritage Center is. So I just want to put a face on the community and the love that we have for this place. All of you have echoed that in so many ways, but I want you all to see. Be that voice in any way that I can. Thank you all for all that you do.
Thank you, Liz. Anyone else?
So reluctant to follow Liz's really
Name
heartfelt-
and where you live, please, ma'am.
Julie Shell. I'm also a new member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I'm delighted to be here and meet Scott and the rest of you. I am a part-time resident working towards retirement, and I have followed that continuum of starting as a visitor with small kids and getting to know Montreat and coming, frankly, to the playground that was set up so many decades ago. And my husband and I have brought our kids here since 2010 and bought a home, and we'll retire here. So I'm really interested in the community engagement that will come so that we can have more people become permanent residents for all of the right reasons and make sure that we are able to support all of the stakeholders. So I'm hoping for a lot of transparency, continuous community engagement, and the opportunity to ensure that all the voices are heard. But I echo everybody who has said thank you to all of you for taking on this very audacious activity, because it's a big one.
Thank you. And thank you and Liz for your service. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, everybody. Priscilla Hayner, 319 Assembly Drive. And I really had a question just to echo what others have said about the importance of community engagement, what you all have said as well. But could we perhaps, if you are able to say anything, I know it's very early in the process, you haven't officially launched yet, and I'm sure it'll be a process in formation and development, but if the MS consultants folks could say more about, I mean, in addition to sort of the skeletal notations here about a couple of stakeholder consultations, and I mean, according to this one community workshop.
Priscilla addressed the board here.
Oh,
MS
sorry.
works for us, okay?
Okay, good. Perhaps if, perhaps if you all had more information, or if MS consultants had more information about exactly what you would envision in terms of community consultations. What is the best way to get community engagement? Considering what has been said about people coming and going, I completely agree that obviously summer will be the key moment for more people to be here present, but with Zoom and with online opportunities, there's obviously much more than that that can be done. So basically to echo and agree with what several people have said about the importance of that, but is there anything more we can say now about what that might look like? Thank you very much.
Anyone else? I don't think there's anybody left. Did our newspaper guy want to say anything today? Okay. Josh, how about you? Okay. Members of the commission, do y'all have any comments before I close the meeting? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn then? Have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? Have a second. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. We stand
Aye.
adjourned. Thank everybody for coming and thank you for your service.